Hello everybody and welcome to the Mash and Drum Whiskey Room. My name is Jason C. and if you're a subscriber, thanks so much for the support and for coming back to watch this episode. If you're new to the channel looking for the latest in whiskey and bourbon news and reviews, you have found the right place, so hit that subscribe button below and hit that little bell notification so you know when I'm putting out a new video. The second release in the 2019 series of Booker's Bourbon is here, and this one is a nod to an employee tradition we wish we had in our own jobs. Booker's Bourbon 2019-02 is named Shiny Barrel Batch, and in honor of a practice undertaken by rickhouse workers back in the day, and is today's Mash and Drum review. So the story goes that back in the day in the old Jim Beam warehouses, the rickhouse workers would carry around these things called mules. It's basically plastic tubing that they would put in the front of their overalls. Now what they would do is when they wanted to taste some good whiskey and they knew where those barrels were, they would take some of those plastic tubes, put it in the barrel, and thieve some whiskey straight out of the barrel. A pretty awesome job perk, I think. So I love the way Fred Noe puts it in the story. He says that a lot of these rickhouse workers had something you would call a prominent physique. So when these workers would go and thieve some of the bourbon right out of the barrel, they would rub their prominent physique against the barrel, giving them a nice shine, or at least a much shinier appearance than some of the old dusty barrels that were also aging in the warehouse. So this was assigned to the legendary Master Distiller Booker Noe that the best bourbons were kept in those shined up barrels that the rickhouse workers just loved to steal a little bit of whiskey from. The shinier the barrel, the sweeter the whiskey was the saying. And those shiny barrels are more often than not found in the center of the rickhouse where the temperature and humidity and conditions were most ideal. So 30 years ago, when Noe first laid down the barrels that would become his namesake bottlings, he chose to age them in the same center cut part of the rickhouses. So I absolutely love this story, and while this practice isn't engaged in today at the Jim Beam Distillery, the fun story associated with the tradition has thankfully been brought back to light in the form of this batch of Booker's Bourbon. A Booker's Bourbon Shiny Barrel Batch is aged for 6 years, 5 months, and 1 day. Shiny Barrel Batch is unfiltered and bottled at cask strength like all Bookers that we love. This comes in at 124 proof or 62% ABV. This batch of Booker's Bourbon carries an MSRP of $80 and is available now. All right, everybody, here's a close-up of the bottle of the new Shiny Barrel Batch. You can see the cool little label that they put on the front. There's usually a cool little illustration there that kind of mirrors the name of the actual batch being a shiny barrel. I've also included the card that you get in each bottle of Booker's. It has the Master Distiller's notes, and it also tells the story that I kind of told in the beginning of the review. So definitely kind of a cool little feature when you get a bottle of Booker's. As I mentioned, this is 124 proof. This comes in at 6 years, 5 months, and 1 day old. So let's get a pour. Always a tight cork in a Booker's. Kind of keep all that flavor in there. Oh, that's a big pour. Hey, we're going for it. All right, guys, let's get into it. All right, guys, so like most of my reviews, I've taken a few pours of this before I give you the review to kind of get a better sense of what to expect here. One thing I wanted to mention was the breakdown of the percentages where they got the different bourbon from. This was only 3 different locations, surprisingly. Sometimes you read the back of a card, and all the Booker's location they make to batch it all together is pretty long. This one only has 3 locations. 18% came from the 6th floor of a 9-story warehouse D. 39% came from the 4th floor of warehouse E, and 43% came from the 4th floor of warehouse J. So that's where it all came from to make this batch. Not a bunch of locations, so they must have found some good whiskey. So let's get into the color first. And just like a real good typical batch of Booker's, you get this really beautiful, deep, rich honey color, touch of amber. They say a chestnut color, which I would totally agree with. Has a nice chestnut character to it. Being the full proof that it is, uncut, unfiltered, it definitely sticks to the glass. As you can see, I mean, just Booker's is always a beautiful bourbon, especially in the glass. So let's go to the nose and let's see what we get. All right, so interesting. So the first time I popped this open, this was one of the most peanut-forward Booker's I've had in a long time. Honey roasted peanuts, salted peanuts, smoked peanuts all day, right on the front of that nose the first time I open it up. Now after letting it get a little bit of air, you're getting a really big waft of vanilla. You're also getting some fruit characteristics that are coming through here, which is really nice. Maybe a little bit hint of a raspberry, maybe a raisin, maybe a plum. This one's offering a really nice balance here on the nose. Some deep, rich brown sugars. Man, there's some caramels there. But that peanutty aspect to it is still there. It's really nice. And this is also one of the smokier bourbons, smokier Bookers, I should say, that I've had in a while. There's a pretty good smoked peanut aspect to it, but you're still getting some of those fruit flavors in there. A lot of vanilla, a lot of caramel. The best way I could describe it is go make some toast and kind of char the bread to right to the point right before it's about to get burnt. Throw some honey roasted peanut butter on there, maybe a touch of strawberry or raspberry jam, and then just take a bite of that, and that's what it kind of smells like on the nose. Yeah, it's really good. I like this nose so far way better than the one from Teresa's batch, but we're going to do a comparison. But let's go to the palate on this one. Here we go. Cheers. Oh, yeah. Now that is the Bookers I know and love. Deep, rich vanilla flavors right off the bat. That peanutty characteristic. Amazing mouthfeel on the front end. That Kentucky hug already on that first sip. All right, first sip is what I really love in a Booker. So let's go to the second sip and start pulling out some flavors here. Cheers. Yeah, there's still more of that peanut characteristic to it that you usually do get from a Jim Beam product. You do have this kind of peanut type of flavor profile to it. It's a little bit more pronounced in this Booker's, but you are getting some nice fruit flavors that go with it. I really feel like I'm picking up a nice raspberry or a strawberry note in there as well. It's really kind of more on the back end as you first take a sip. You're just, it's an explosion of vanilla and caramel, that deep rich vanilla that Booker's is really known for. Really coats the palate well. Getting a little bit of a kick of a rye spice there in the end. Let's go for another sip. Here we go. Cheers. Yeah, this one's getting a little bit sweeter. Oh yeah, there's that smokiness that's there on the right on the very end is really, really unique. I really like it a lot. It's really playing well with all the other flavors that you're getting in here. So it's kind of like a vanilla bomb, a caramel. Then it hits you on the mid palate with a little bit of a fruit flavor, and then the finish just gives you that really nice Kentucky hug. Then you get a little bit of a smoke, like a really nice oak char. But it's a sweet oak char. It's not really overpowering. Really, really good balance so far. Let's go for another sip. Here we go. Yeah, each sip, you're getting pretty much the same experience. It's staying very consistent. It's if there's one change that it's doing here on the subsequent sips here, it's getting a little bit sweeter, which is really nice. You're still getting that alcohol punch, a lot of vanilla, a lot of caramel, brown sugars. But then the brown sugar now is becoming a little bit more pronounced. The smokiness is starting to go away a little bit. And now you're getting more of those sweet flavors coming through. That kind of that sandwich, that peanut butter and jelly sandwich there with a little bit of a honey kick to it is really kind of taking over the palate with a touch of smoke on the end. Let's go in for one more sip and talk about the whole experience. Cheers. Yeah, so the only thing that's changing a little bit on here is the finish, but everything else is just kind of staying really consistent. You're getting right at the front of the tongue, you're getting really good hits of vanilla, some caramel. Might have got a little bit of a chocolate note there too. Then once it gets past there, right in the mid palate, you're getting these bursts of bright fruit flavors, whether it be a cherry or a red raspberry. There's this really nice dark fruit characteristic. It's very quick though, and then right at the very end, that smokiness that I was getting on my first couple sips has now turned into more of a sweet oak characteristic. But all the while, it's really kind of giving you a really nice Kentucky hug. Just a really nice, beautiful Booker's experience. All right, guys, so you know I have to do it. I have to compare it to the first batch, which was Teresa's batch. So if any of you have not picked up either of these batches yet, and you're actually looking at a shelf and able to pick one of these two, let's hope I can help you out here. Now, just based on, if you guys saw my my review for this Teresa's batch, it was kind of an off-profile Booker's. Yeah, the Teresa's batch is just a lot lighter. It's a little bit more alcohol forward. This one you're getting much more rich flavors on the nose. More of that peanut characteristic, deep, dark, rich brown sugars. This just comes through as just a little bit sharper, but not in really a good way. Let's go to the palate on this one. Yeah, Teresa's batch, I mean, it's sweet. It gives you some of those Booker's flavors, but they're not nearly as pronounced as you're going to get in the Shiny Barrel batch. The Shiny Barrel batch, like I said, just giving you a really great balance. It's the Booker's flavor profile that I think everybody knows and loves. Let's go for another sip of the Teresa's batch, which, by the way, Teresa's batch is 6 years, 3 months in 1 day, so it's 2 months younger than Shiny Barrel batch. And this one comes in at 125.9 as opposed to the 124. So a little bit higher ABV on this one. And even though it's not that much, I really feel like you can tell it's a higher ABV. It's very interesting. This one tastes more like a Knob Creek single barrel to me, whereas this one tastes like a Booker's. That peanut characteristic, that finish, that overwhelming waft of vanilla and caramel that you're getting, the little bit of smokiness, that is what you want from a Booker's, and I really feel like you're getting that with the Shiny Barrel batch. So if you're in a store and you're trying to think of which one should I get, the Shiny Barrel batch is the one you want to get if you're looking for that Booker's experience. The Teresa's batch is just a little bit lacking in a flavor profile. It's not the Booker's that I know and love. This one brings it back to that, and also offers, I think, a little bit of a fruitiness characteristic, kind of like the Kathleen's batch did last year. So if you were a fan of that, you're going to absolutely love this one. All right, guys, so in conclusion, if you're in the market for a new Booker's batch, definitely the Shiny Barrel batch is the one to get. The second release this year is really delicious. It's the Booker's that you know and love. It's got a really great flavor profile, a little hint more of a smokiness to it, especially in the beginning. Gets a little sweeter over time. Now, if you don't want to spend the money on Booker's, I do understand that. If you don't want to spend the money on Booker's and get close to it, pick up a Knob Creek Single Barrel. Knob Creek Single Barrel is 120 proof. That's only 4 proof points lower than this bottle right here. And it's also half the price. So that one comes in at $40. The Booker's Shiny Barrel batch comes in at about $80 in most places. So if you want to kind of get close to that experience with the Booker's, go for a Knob Creek Single Barrel. Another one I could recommend if you want a barrel-proof experience without breaking the bank, and you'll be able to find it on the shelf, get a Wild Turkey Barrel Proof, a Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Wild Turkey Rare Breed, the new batch is 116.8. It's a little lower than this one, but you're getting a full flavor, barrel-proof experience, again, for half the price of this. All right, guys, well, thanks so much for watching this review on the brand new Booker's 2019-02 Shiny Barrel Batch. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button below. Please hit that like button. If you haven't yet, find me on Instagram and find me on Twitter. Let me know if you have found this batch, if you've tried it, if you've done a comparison. Always like to hear what you guys think. And like I always say, it is not about the whiskey, it is the people you share it with. So cheers, and I'm gonna go shine up a new barrel. Take care, everybody.